My name is Michael Billy. I'm from the Squamish Nation. My ancestral name is Stowalkin, which goes eight generations back.
Hello, my name is Mike Billy. My hereditary name is Lemchatrasiam. I've been a canoe builder. I've been a canoe paddler since I can remember. I've built canoes since I was 14, 15. My earliest memory of being in a canoe is with my sisters and my brother. We'd be playing in the canoe as children and pretending that we were an 11-man, and we'd be racing up and down the creek. Um, my earliest memory of building canoes was with my dad when he took us outside and he had some logs delivered to the front of his house, and he showed me and my brothers how to build canoes. That was early 80s, 1980s. I think that Squamish people have always paddled canoes in this area since the beginning of time. But in 1870, a book came out called Rob Roy, and it was about a canoeing in it. I think it sort of spawned our sport into, in 1890, we were outlawed to potlatch, so at that time, we still wanted to get together, so we turned canoeing into a sport, and we'd have canoe races so we could get together, and that brought it through to the 1950s where that law was no more, but we had a sport, and that's where my dad started paddling in about the 1950s, and my uncle Kenny, and from there, it went to the 1970s where I started paddling, and we started making canoes, and that's where Norman Trowell started paddling too, about the same time. And Uncle Kenny married my Aunt Sally, and there was Ab Seymour and Jerry Seymour and Corey and Jean and Alex, Paul, and there was a bunch of us back then that would paddle in North Shore, and we carried on the sport into the 1990s, and then the 2000 when the new generation started coming in and doing flat water kayaking and ocean going paddling and outrigger paddling, and even some spawned off into dragon boats, and to this modern day where it's a part of culture, is about everything, and as long as we're on the water, we're having fun, right? So. I think the reason I'm a paddler is because of my dad. He always plays a big part in it, and he handed down the canoe building to me. And it's hard for me not to have a thought without thinking about my dad and handing it on to my kids. Paddles started out as straight blades, and then they slowly evolved into a bent shaft, and then single bend. Then they start mixing carbon eventually. But when we first start paddling, we'd use solid pieces of wood, one piece, and then they'd get really refined, really light, very thin, very fragile. And
The furthest I've ever traveled for racing was down in Washington, right above Seattle there, and I dreamed to race internationally, to go over the world and compete at those high level races.